Now, there has been a rise in a number of people who are experiencing life-threatening allergic reactions. Anaphylaxis can be triggered by food allergens, insect stings, and sometimes even physical factors such as extreme cold. Now, the 13th to the 19th of June is World Allergy Week, and this year the focus is on anaphylaxis. So what exactly is it, and what are we looking for? The early signs is what I'm trying to find out. Good thing I have an allergy specialist, Professor Claudia Gray, joining us from Kids Allergy in Cape Town. Prof, and good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time in speaking to us. I mean, it sounds like one of those concerns where anything can give you anaphylaxis. Have you got an itchy nose? Do you go in the cold? Do you eat food? It's quite worrying, isn't it?
Good morning, Gareth. Yes, thank you. Well, remember that anaphylaxis represents the most extreme end of the spectrum of allergic reactions, and indeed most reactions are much milder than that. It's quite rare to react to things like extreme cold, much more common to react to insect bites, medications, food allergens, and these levels are rising throughout the world, in fact. For example, food allergies, which were reasonably rare 30, 40 years ago, are now reasonably common. In a country like Australia, 10% of children, that's 1 in 10, have a food allergy. In South Africa, it's probably 2.5 to 3%, but on the rise. And then in your spectrum of allergic reactions, they can range from milder, where you do just have that snotty nose or itchy eyes or a bit of a rash, to more severe. And the most severe end is called anaphylaxis. And that, by definition, is life-threatening. Therefore, we have to recognize it early and treat it early.
And thankfully, it seems there's a scale involved in this. We're not going to go from sitting on the couch, Gareth has a peanut, and suddenly my crew are having to fetch me off the floor. There's a bit of a scale involved here. So if we can, some consumer advice, shall we, for moms and parents watching this morning. If there's a concern that their child may just have a simple nut allergy. I'm allergic to bananas. Who knew? I never knew that until a little while ago. And they don't want to start panicking about anaphylaxis. What are the early warning signs that we're looking at?
Yeah, Gareth, you're quite right in saying there's a scale, but sometimes some unlucky people have a much more immediate dramatic reaction. But let's talk about the scale end of the spectrum. So by definition, anaphylaxis, so those severe allergic reactions, involve 2 or more systems, or your breathing, or your heart system. So say 2 or more systems. A child eats a peanut, they start getting a little bit of an itchy nose, they have a rash around the mouth, and then they also develop tummy cramps and vomiting. So those are 2 systems, the skin system and your gastrointestinal system. That's a warning sign of anaphylaxis. Any breathing difficulties, so difficulties breathing in or out, or a persistent cough, or even, Gareth, persistent clearing of the throat, that's a sign of anaphylaxis. And of course, in the most extreme end, which is uncommon in children but more common in adults, you can have the cardiovascular system involved, so a sudden drop in blood pressure causing dizziness or collapse. So there's a very wide spectrum, but remember to the viewers, it's 2 systems or any chest or any cardiovascular involvement.
In the last minute that I have with you, Professor, tell me a little bit about where people can get some more information. As you tell me that, I'm sure there's a website that parents and even those who have allergies can go and just get some more info. As you tell me where people can go, what's the next step? As I'll use your example, your child has an itchy nose after eating a peanut. Do you rush them to the emergency ward or go and see a GP?
Yeah. So, Gareth, this depends on if they've had a reaction or not before. For the first reaction, it's often wise to seek medical attention immediately. If there are any signs of anaphylaxis, which I've described, so the more severe end, you go straight to the nearest emergency unit. If you've had that reaction before and your doctor's prescribed an adrenaline injector, you give that immediately. Adrenaline can be life-saving for anaphylaxis. If it's a milder reaction, so say just a few spots around the mouth, or slight itching of the nose, then a good dose of a fast-acting antihistamine can be enough. But as soon as you're hitting that anaphylaxis, adrenaline is life-saving. So we really, really then need to either give our own adrenaline if we have and still go to the hospital, or rush to the nearest emergency unit, yes. But for the milder allergies, an antihistamine usually suffices. But I can't stress enough that even if you've had an allergic reaction, have a good work-up afterwards with an allergist or your physician or pediatrician to see exactly the spectrum of your allergies, because some allergens have associated allergies, like peanut with sesame and egg, or peanut with tree nuts. Gareth, we are very lucky in South Africa to have some excellent resources of information. For example, in our Allergy Foundation and our Allergy Society, which are driving our work for World Anaphylaxis Week. The Allergy Foundation of South Africa can be found on www.allergyfoundation.co.za. You can support us there. They're wonderful posters, they're wonderful resources, wonderful videos about anaphylaxis. So please visit that website.
And I'm sure many people are going to do that. Prof, what a pleasure speaking to you. Professor Claudia Gray, allergy specialist, also from Kids Allergy down in Cape Town. Very important discussion. It's amazing how quickly it can happen. So, Prof, I appreciate you speaking to me this morning here on ENCA. A quick